what ACIP does is when FDA authorizes a product, a vaccine in particular, or something for infectious disease, at the next meeting, ACIP by charter must advise the director of the CDC on how that product is to be used. In other words, are we going to recommend it for all children? Are we going to recommend it for joint decision making so that physicians and parents and their children have to discuss whether or not to use it? Are we not going to recommend it at all? Just because the FDA authorized it for marketing, the ACIP might say, no, I really don't think the data are solid enough. So that's kind of the range of options. They take a formal vote on it. It goes up to the director of the CDC, or as I said, if there's no director because it hasn't been confirmed, it goes up to Bobby. And then those recommendations are accepted. So who cares? Well, what happens is that those recommendations in part trigger a program called the Vaccines for Children Act in the United States, which purchases and distributes. So you could think of that as acquires and markets, if you're looking at it through the lens of pharmaceutical industry, vaccines to the poor, Indian health community, those that might not be insured for some reason, et cetera. So basically, it's a big buy that happens if the ACIP authorizes it and the CDC director concurs. Furthermore, a whole lot of nations all over the world, and I don't know, perhaps even the UK, are influenced by the decisions at the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, which is why I say it's the mouse that roared. It's really not that big in terms of the charter, and yet historically it has set precedent for vaccine utilization, particularly in children, all across the Western world. So I find myself on this consequent to the secretary, I'm referring to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., having made a decision that the old ACIP that was largely drawn from the medical professional societies, or what a cynic might call the guild, was the source from which most of the ACIP members were drawn, and also many of the subcommittee members, which is where the work really gets done. We're all drawn from these professional societies. And basically, you can figure out if you're going to be compensated with an, quote, honorarium of $250 a day, you got to have some other source of income. And most of these folks are academics or they're working for big hospitals, and being on the ACIP gives them punches their ticket for demonstrating that they're doing good community service and that they have international standing. So that's why they do it. But what
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
Secretary noted was that this has over time become, I'll call it, infested with chronic conflicts of interest, financial, organizational, funding, just a whole layers and layers of different ways that both these professional societies, which have their own interests, like pediatricians, like to give vaccines because it is a major profit center for them in the United States, unlike the UK system. Okay, so and then pharma gets its nickel, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a whole food chain here having to do with cash flow. And I won't use the term corruption, but let's say clear and persistent conflicts of interest of a variety of different types. And so the secretary basically decided, I've had enough of this. This has been going on for years. There's so much evidence of it going on in this present board, which, by the way, got packed at the last minute by the Biden administration. So they put a bunch of new members on as they were heading out the door. And the secretary, in an unprecedented move, just retired all of them. And then appointed 8 poor souls to stand in the breach, of which I was one, and get attacked by corporate media, academics, and the pharmaceutical industry surrogates as uninformed, anti-vaxxer people with no background. Like, for instance, say, Martin Koldorf, who is the chair. I'm serve as the co-chair, according to Bobby. But Martin arguably is the top epidemiologist, we could say, in the world, former full professor of epidemiology at Harvard and author of the Great Barrington Declaration, together with others, as you noted. Also, another luminary there is Ratzif Levy. He's totally unqualified, except for the fact that he is a full professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and his specific focus is on identifying statistically risk and threat signals, particularly in vaccine products. And we have a number of others, pediatricians, there's a psychiatrist, there is a nurse who's been on many of these committees before. So there was 8 appointed. One of them couldn't pass muster. He was very seasoned. I'm sorry he couldn't join. Very seasoned clinical researcher, as I am. So it was kind of like having a compadre on the board. But he's even more successful than me in that he's got a huge stock portfolio. He's been working in industry for years, done quite well, and basically, not to put words in his mouth, but this is paraphrasing what he said to me. There's no way I'm going to work for $250 a day and have to sell all my stock. So that was a non-starter. So we're down to 7. So that's the context of what happened. And yeah, there was just a ton of hate. Hate at Bobby. In particular, there's people on the committee that said, you know why we like to have Malone here? Because the press all text Malone and they'd leave us alone. So I'm like catnip for the likes of the Atlantic Monthly. And they recycled a lot of the same authors that had had their round of punching me and hate back 4 years ago. Well, they kind of brought them back for a next round. And it got pretty absurd.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.